Hey guys, it's Mr. Hing here, or I should say, hey grade 8s, because this is purely based and directed to you. Right, guys, so what we are doing today is fractions, okay? We are going to be looking at adding and subtracting fractions, okay? And then as well as my page number 2 here, let me just go click there. We are also going to be looking at multiplying and dividing fractions using different methods, okay? So yeah, why don't we get straight into it? Please, if you hear any background noise, it might be the TV. My dad is watching the Champions League. Yeah, anyways, let's carry on. Move past that. Okay, so what we are going to be doing is let's look at adding and subtracting examples with fractions. Now, please, guys, this is very important. I just want to highlight this over here. One of the most important steps with adding and subtracting fractions is that we need the same denominators. Please, 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 okay? Always remember that as soon as you see a plus or a minus with fractions and they ask you to calculate it without a calculator and show all you're working out, make sure that you have and you get the same denominators when working out. And I'll show us how to do that. So example number 1 over here, let's have a look. Let me just make some notes in maybe orange. So our first question is 3 over 4 plus 1 over 2. Okay, so this is our question, and they ask us to basically simplify it. And if it is an improper fraction, just simplify it into a mixed fraction. So where do we start? Firstly, we need to get the same denominators. I said here we need to get the same denominators. Now I'm kind of going to start from scratch for all the questions, so that's why this video might be a bit longer. But what you do is you look and you ask yourself, what is the lowest common multiple between 4 and 2? Okay, so you kind of list the multiples, and as you do it, as you practice it, you won't even need to do this step, like write it out. It will be quite clear to you, because last year you would have known, if I'm not mistaken, how to do lowest common multiples. So if I do the multiples of 2, it's 2, 4, 6. If I do multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, and so on, etc. And so for same for 2. And then what you must choose is the lowest common one. So as you can see, there is 4 that is common, and you're going to make that your lowest common, and D stands for denominator. So how are we going to do that? Well, if you look here, 3 over 4, 4 is already present. So I just need to change the 2 to make it a 4. So why don't we do that together? Let's look at our next step over here. So my step over here, you can see that, just give me a second. Okay, you can see that I've left my 3 over 4 the way it is, plus a half, and then this is what I am doing in order to make my 2 a 4, okay? And then you'll see that it actually now drops down and it has become a 4. But remember, whatever you do to the bottom of a fraction, you must do to the top. So what would end up happening is it would be 3 over 4 plus 2 over 4, because I said 1 times 2 now, because I did that to the bottom. And when we get to this point over here, we only add, or if it's subtract, we'll subtract numerators. The denominator stays the same. So 3 plus 2 is 5 over here. 4 and 4, I said the denominator stays the same. We get our answer, but look what's happened. We have gotten an improper fraction. So I said let's convert it into a mixed fraction. How you do that is you ask yourself, how many times does the denominator go into the numerator? So if I say 5 divided by 4, it goes in once, 4, and then 8. So it won't go in twice, because 8 is more than 5. So 4 goes into 5 once, and there will be 1 left over, because to get from 4 to 5, there will be 1 left over, and you keep the denominator the same. Right, let's go and actually practice that. If you maybe were a little bit confused in a step, let's go practice it and see if we can understand it together. So over here, question 1.1, we have 6 over 7 plus a third. And what is the first step, guys? We need to get the same denominators. So as you can see here, I said lowest common denominator. I did the multiples of 7, the multiples of 3, and the lowest common one I got was 21. So we're going to convert both of our denominators into 21 to get the lowest common denominator. So how do we do that? 7 we must multiply by 3, and we need to do the same to the top. For 3 we multiply by 7, we do the same to the top. Then what's going to happen is we basically simplify it. So 6 times 3 is 18, 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 7 is 7, 3 times 7 is 21. You add, remember, only the, sorry, that was a really bad line. Let me just put it here. We add the numerators, we get 25. We keep the denominators the same, so this is our answer as an improper fraction. And then we just convert into a mixed fraction and we get our marks. But please make sure you show all of your working out just in case marks are being given over here and for the conversions, etc. Okay, let's have a look at 1.2. Right, guys, this is the first time in this video where I'm showing you now how to convert into from a mixed fraction into improper fraction. So guys, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is follow this rule every single time. So with my learners, I teach them to always convert into improper fractions, right? Where there's a bigger number. So for example, 8 over 3. Convert into this type of fraction if you get a mixed fraction. Mixed fraction meaning if there's a whole number with it. That's how I teach my learners. And then you do the sum, and then you can convert back if needed. So let's do this together. So we're going to convert. How you do that is you take the denominator, 2, times it by the whole number, then plus it to the numerator. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. That is how I get in the pink over here. Okay, let's look at this line. So yeah, so that's 7, and then you keep the denominator the same. Then with regards to this one, let's have a look. So 5 times 2, we go over there. It's 10 plus 3 is 13, and that is how I get 13 over here. And then you get, once again, you keep the denominator the same. Now let's have a look. We do not have the same denominators, guys. So before we minus the numerators, we first need to get that. So what would be the lowest common denominator between 2 and 5? It would be 10, okay, which you'll see here. I converted it into 10. But how did we do that? We had to times by 5 at the top. And then on this side, we times by 2 to get to that, to get the 5 to 10. And you have to do the same to the top. So 7 times 5 is 35. 13 times 2 is 26. We do the subtraction. 35 minus 26 is 9. And we keep our denominator the same. In this question, what I did was I wrote the whole fraction over 10. So you can also do that. I just wanted to show you a different way of writing it. Okay, let's have a look at 1.3. So 1.3 is over here. And we have addition of fractions, but obviously it is mixed fraction. So we're first going to convert it into improper. So let's do that together. 7 times 6 is 42. And then we got to plus the 2. So that's how I got 44. For those of you who are still just a bit unsure. So that's how I got 44. And then we keep the denominator the same. For 1.5, it's 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 gives me 3. And you keep the denominator the same. Then you got to ask yourself, what is the lowest common denominator between 7 and 2? And that is going to be 14. So we want to convert the denominators to 14. So I times my 7 by 2. I have to do the same to the top. I times my 2 by 7, and I have to do the same to the top. Then, right, so then again, I write it all over the same denominator, which is now 14. I simplify these into 88. And then plus 3 times 7 is 21. You do the sum, we get 88 plus 21 is 109. over and we keep the denominator as 14. And then what I did was I just converted into a mixed fraction. So you ask yourself, how many times does 14 go into 109? 7 times, and then there will be 11 remaining, and you keep the 14 at the bottom. With all that being said, guys, I think there was a bit too much to go through straight into multiplying, so I'll do that in another video just now, and then I'll post it. But for now, guys, that is adding and subtracting.